Our first segment on this episode of Make Sense with Will Towns, co-founder of Rec Philly, is Never Have I Ever. In this amuse-bouche, I'm going to call out past internet habits, and I want you to tell me if you have or have not done that. Never have I ever gotten in trouble for downloading music from Napster or any other tool.
I could finish my entire glass just off of that one alone. I literally was so in I'm not gonna call it piracy, but I was in the peer-to-peer sharing space, from Morpheus to LimeWire to BearShare, Kazaa, and then after that wave, it went into like these like cool bespoke websites to download mixtapes. So let's just say I had quite a long list on our dial-up driven computer at home of a discography.
Did you ever get in trouble for it?
No, like, it was interesting because when I started to see news coming out of people actually like getting in trouble with the government for the file sharing, I was nervous because I was like, I've got gigabytes, which was huge at that time, right? Of songs downloaded. And there was this funny joke that like if you were on Morpheus or LimeWire, some of the files, you would download a Soldier Boy song and it'd actually be something completely different. And my friends would like tell me, they'd be like, well, if you downloaded one of those, like they were tracking you and they know your IP address. So I was nervous for a little bit, but no, I never officially got in trouble or anything like that. And I was
Okay.
burning CDs for my friends all the time. So that was my era.
I'm reminded that I have a external hard drive that's about this thick and this big, and it has about 50 gigabytes of music that I copied from this guy, Brett, in college in 2005. It is like the most impressive discography. It fed my iPod for years after, and I can't get rid of it. It feels like, what if they take all the music away? I still need it.
I love
I
that.
still need like every album from Billy Joel, from Bruce Springsteen. It was like complete like archive. So okay, yeah. So never have I ever played Chat Roulette unironically.
Yeah, it was just one of those things, I think like the internet was still is, but such a unexplored space, as a kid. And yeah, I think when I would hear about these different platforms, whether they were new apps or whatever, like my friend group and me being almost like the ringleader was always down to just explore and to see what was happening. The internet was just such a portal into the rest of the world. So when Chat Roulette came up, it was like, oh wait, there's random people that I can like. At that time, we were like Uvu and like doing that whole thing. Uvu doesn't even exist anymore.
I don't even know what Ubu is.
No?
No, what is it?
Okay. So Uvu was, at least for me, it was the predecessor to Skype and Zoom. And it was really cool because you could talk to like 8 people at once, which was like a major deal back then, right? So me and my friends would Uvu all the time. But when we heard that we could like video chat with strangers, it was like, well, let's connect because I'm already chatting with strangers on AIM. So chat roulette just became the natural progression of, yeah, let's talk to strangers all over the country and just see what's up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was an era. And again, I think that like because the internet was just such a portal to the rest of the world, I was that explorer who was willing to engage. And fortunately, all safe experiences for the
Yeah.
most part. But yeah, I was definitely pioneering on the chat
Uh,
roulettes.
yeah, Chat Roulette became a haven of NSFW
Yeah,
content.
for sure. For sure.
But I do like the imagery of it feeling at that time, 15, 20 years ago, like it was a portal, right? Now it feels like it's our everything and it's just an extension of our hand. It's part of our lives. It's how we communicate. But it definitely felt, like you were sitting down at your desktop to do something with intention.
Yeah.
So I like that, a portal.
Yeah. And the portal thing is kind of fresh in my mind because do you know about the portal that's at City Hall, right?
I think they moved it because it's gotten butchered so many times
Yeah,
in
kind of like
Philadelphia.
chat roulette, right?
Yeah.
But it was like that, but online. I think that portal is really just the IRL version of that, where it's like you never know what's going to be on the other side. But and although there's this part of humanity that always takes things way too far, and the NSFW and all that, there still was this opportunity for like these beautiful moments of serendipity. That I think, especially at that time, When you mentioned getting online with a certain purpose, for me as a kid, like after school in middle school, getting on the internet was to be social.
Mhm.
And it started off with just like my friends, and I remember my away messages on AIM being like the first time I'm like writing copy, right? If you will. But then eventually you wanted to go beyond just like your own social group.
Mhm.
And yeah, all of these apps have just been such like a cool way to navigate that social world.
Okay, so next one. Never have I ever woken up thinking in 140 characters because I was using Twitter too much. That I will drink to.
Yeah, because why not?
When did you first join Twitter?
That's a good question. I would have to go back and look, but my gut says probably while I was early in college, right? So probably somewhere around 2009 to 2011, maybe
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
makes sense. I joined Twitter in April of 2007. So literally like 4 or 5 months after it launched.
Wow. So was this in the days of you still had to like text a number, or were you on after that, like when it was actually like the app is good to go?
Time I owned a BlackBerry,
Yeah.
iPhones didn't exist yet.
Yep.
So there was a certain amount of of texting or doing it at your laptop. Probably there was a BlackBerry like web app interface, but really we only used it, my grad school friends and I in the Bay Area used it to talk to each other. It really wasn't until maybe '08, '09 where it became like a place to like hijacked by media to become a place where you demonstrate your expertise.
Yeah.
In the early days, it really was like you only saw messages if you were all friends and following each other.
Yeah. And that's such an interesting way to think about that because that's something I've been reflecting on as we were getting ready for this conversation and just like the difference of creating in a space where it's kind of like really low stakes, right? Where it's like, oh, it's just for me and my friends versus now like it's for me and my friends, but now anyone can see it. And how sometimes that changes the nature of the creative process in general. Yeah, we might have to circle back to that, but I feel you.
There's a whole podcast segment on that,
Okay.
and might not be this podcast.
Okay.
Stay tuned for part two with Will Toms. Final one. Never have I ever reorganized my MySpace top 8 for the drama. I don't remember. I used MySpace reluctantly.
I was so into it.
Yeah.
It was like, and then okay, so for context, I'm in high school when MySpace is doing its thing, middle school to high school.
What year did you graduate high school for some of us to?
Okay. I graduated high school in 2009.
Okay, got it.
So this is like, I'm like in 10th grade and MySpace is the thing. So like getting ready for school dances and like considering who's going to senior week or whatever. I don't know. Like it was just such a thing. And I remember even learning how to code a little bit so I could figure out, can I change my top 8 to a top 16 to accommodate my whole social circle? So yeah, I'm very guilty of it.
You wanted to be more inclusive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was a social butterfly in high school, and I mean, still a community builder now. So yeah, I wanted to be more inclusive and just try to navigate a little better.
So our timing differences are slightly different because I'm graduated high school in '01 and I was in college when Facebook came out and I was at a prestigious enough college, University of Virginia, after the Ivies. Zuckerberg invited my school. And it wasn't until after college, 2005, 2006-ish, where some college friends were like, no, everyone's using MySpace. And it was like a good like 2006 to, I don't know, what, 2010, 11, where MySpace and Facebook were duking it out. And sometime I think around 2011, MySpace
Yeah, for sure.
saw its,
And us
yeah.
music lovers, we tried to hold out for MySpace as much as we could because it was just so much more
Mhm.
ingrained with music culture. But yeah, we
Right,
see we see
right.
who won that war.
And then SoundCloud came in, right, and filled a
Yeah,
need in there too.
that's
Yeah,
right.
cool. Oh, all right. So that ends our first segment, Never Have I Ever. I'm going to take a quick break. If you're a software developer or technologist who's been thinking about building your own product, but you want to avoid the costly mistakes most freewheeling hackers make, Let me tell you about something I created just for you. It's called Blueprint to Build, and it's on learnproductmarketfit.com. Unlike most startup advice, which, let's be real, isn't written for engineers like us, this is a practical step-by-step system to help you go from idea to an actual product people want. There's a lot of garbage advice out there if you're struggling to understand your audience, or deciding on which features to build, or pitching your ideas clearly. Blueprint to Build breaks it down with guides, templates, and tools designed for engineers by an engineer. If you already know how to write code, this will help you learn how to execute like a product strategist so you don't waste months building something no one buys. That would suck. You can check it out at learnproductmarketfit.com. No fluff, just frameworks that actually work. All right, back to our episode. Going into our second segment of Make Sense with Will Toms, Chief Creative Officer of Rec Philly, debugging innovation. In this segment, we explore different approaches to innovation, strategy, and problem solving. If you're leveraging tools available like the one I just talked about on learnproductmarketfit.com, this segment will help you apply them in real world scenarios.